Well, buckle up because the last day or so in Israel has been, to put it mildly, a lot. The news that Israel had launched a new military invasion of Gaza sent immediate shockwaves across the globe. The New York Times reported on this development, highlighting that the operation involved not just airstrikes but also the mobilization of ground troops into Gaza. Imagine waking up to headlines screaming about a fresh invasion. For people in the region, it's not an abstract news item, it's a terrifying reality unfolding on their doorsteps. The initial hours were filled with a flurry of reports, often conflicting, always concerning. The immediate trigger appears to be linked to an ongoing Israeli military endeavor. Al Jazeera reported that Israel had launched Operation Gideon's Chariots to seize more land in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF, didn't hold back, with reports from the Jerusalem Post indicating that 5 divisions were engaged in Gaza. The same source detailed that these forces had already hit approximately 670 targets. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made it clear, stating that Israel will control Gaza. Israel's far-right security minister Itamar Ben-Gvir called for a full-scale military occupation of Gaza. The combination of a named operation escalating, the sheer scale of military force deployed, and the hardline political statements created a perfect storm. The initial airstrikes, followed by the ground troop mobilization, were the physical manifestations of these political declarations. The moment news of the intensified Israeli military operations in Gaza broke on May 19, the global reaction was, predictably, instantaneous and widespread. Social media platforms became a digital torrent of outrage, concern, support, and condemnation. World leaders began issuing statements, each carefully worded yet often revealing underlying geopolitical alignments. The United Nations Security Council scrambled to convene an emergency meeting. Calls for a ceasefire were made, yet no immediate consensus on concrete action was reached. The United States, a key player in the region, found itself in a familiar if uncomfortable position. The U.S. President issued a statement condemning the violence and urging de-escalation. Crucially, the statement also reiterated support for Israel's right to defend itself, while expressing concern for civilian casualties. Iran and Turkey were swift and unequivocal in their condemnation, labeling the Israeli actions as acts of aggression. Nations like Saudi Arabia and Egypt called for restraint and dialogue. Arab leaders meeting in Iraq called for international backing of their Gaza reconstruction plan and rejected any forced displacement of Palestinians. The UN and the German government also expressed deep concern. Beyond the strategic calculations and diplomatic maneuvering, the most immediate and devastating impact of this new invasion is, as always, on human lives. The New York Times reported that the military actions have significantly exacerbated the already dire humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Casualty figures began to mount almost immediately. Al Jazeera reported that more than 70 Palestinians were killed across Gaza since dawn on May 17. Initial reports on May 19 indicated significant casualties on both sides, with dozens of Palestinians and several Israeli soldiers reported dead or injured. Thousands of civilians in Gaza are once again fleeing their homes, desperately seeking safety. The New York Times highlighted their urgent need for aid: food, water, shelter, medical supplies. Even as bombs fell and troops moved, the faint flickering pulse of diplomatic efforts could still be detected. Al Jazeera confirmed that new Gaza truce talks were underway in Qatar. The very fact that talks are happening even as Israel's military expanded its ground assault is a testament to the desperate search for an off-ramp. White House envoy Steve Witkoff is reportedly on the ground, pressuring both Israel and Hamas to agree to a new hostage deal proposal. Experts and analysts are divided and deeply worried. Some see this latest escalation as a potential turning point, but not in a good way, a slide towards a broader regional conflict. The implications of these unforgettable 24 hours stretch far beyond the immediate battlefield, touching ordinary people in profound ways and sending ripples across the global stage. For those living in Israel and Palestine, the renewed violence means more fear, more loss, and a future that looks increasingly uncertain. The cycle of conflict not only claims lives and destroys infrastructure but also erodes hope. The economic impact is also beginning to register. Global financial markets reacted with predictable volatility to the news of the invasion. Oil prices spiked, and stock markets fluctuated. Amidst the crisis, other related tensions simmer. So, as the dust begins to settle on these initial frantic 24 hours, a profound question hangs heavy in the air. What now for the Middle East and indeed for a world watching with bated breath?